guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about how to find yourself after having a baby. So basically navigating postpartum, and it's very interesting because a part of you kind of dies when you have a baby, and then this new side of you is born. So you have the opportunity to really kind of merge those two and step into a whole new version of yourself. However, as maybe most of you know, letting a part of you go maybe unexpectedly or in a way that you were not prepared for is really difficult. So today I just wanted to give you a couple of tips on how I'm navigating that as a second-time mom, and probably some of these things I wish I knew now looking back at my first postpartum experience. So I just wanted to share them with you. Brought you guys a little bit closer to me. So the first thing is knowing that your life is going to change in a way that you've never experienced before. So before you have a baby, and especially your first baby, your life is all about you and maybe your spouse. Maybe you have like siblings or family, but you're really kind of doing life however you want, at the time you want, whenever you want. You have a schedule and you're in charge. When you have a baby, that is really kind of taken completely away from you, and now you are at the schedule of the baby. Meaning, if the baby needs to eat, you need to stop what you're doing and feed the baby. There's very few things that you can do for yourself first before attending to the baby's needs. Of course, like, I don't know, go to the bathroom or something like that, but sometimes even that, you have to hold it. So I think what a lot of people don't realize, especially women, because they are usually the primary caretaker if they're giving birth, right, is how much of that changes. So you go from, let's say, single to being in a relationship to having a baby, and the having a baby it takes all your time, it takes all your energy, your mind, and people are not prepared for that. That's why it's so hard. And on top of that, you're going through tremendous changes within your body, both like physically on a hormonal level, then also like emotionally. And this is where, like, postpartum depression and anxiety come in. I had severe anxiety my first time around, probably depression as well. This time around, it's a lot better because, again, I'm prepared. And I wish someone told me this my first time around. None of my friends really said how difficult it is. Because probably they didn't want to scare me. However, I think more information is better, and knowing what to expect is better. The second thing is, like, know that your partner is not going to go through the same thing as you're going through. If you're giving birth as a woman and your partner isn't giving birth, they haven't had all these hormones in their body, they haven't been cut open or pushed a child through them, they didn't lose an organ, a placenta, and I think I read somewhere the amount of, like, the hormonal change you go through on day 2 or 3 postpartum is the same thing as taking, like, I don't know, like 20 or 30 birth control pills in like 24 hours. It was some crazy statistic, don't quote me on that, but it's something crazy that the hormonal change is so big that like you've never experienced that in your life because you've never taken 20 birth control pills in one day, right? And again, your partner probably will not understand it, and it's okay, right? It's okay they don't understand, and you're going through this, and you can feel a little bit lonely. I'm not gonna lie. That's why support from other women, support from other moms who have gone through this is very, very important at this time, because they know what you're going through. They've literally lived it in their body. And you want someone like that. You want a best friend. Honestly, even someone in your neighborhood, another mom, like, they will understand what you're going through because they lived through it. And if you haven't lived through it, it's very hard to explain, and it's really hard to resonate and feel empathetic. So just know that. And don't blame your partner, even though it is really easy, and I've done it many times, because they don't know, and they will never know what a woman goes through when they have a baby. They just won't. And that's okay. Your partner can show up for you in so many other ways, which we can talk about, but just know that. The third thing is you have to, like, prepare. So if you don't prepare, you fail, or what is that saying? But you have to, like, plan. If you don't plan, you plan to fail, or something like that. you need to have things in place. So who is supporting mama, right? Who is supporting you? How are you getting your meals? Do you have a meal service that comes to your house? Is your partner cooking every meal? Do you set up a meal train with your friends? That's something you can do, like at a baby shower. Instead of getting all these gifts, you can set up a meal train, or both, a friend drops off like a frozen meal or something that you can heat up every other day, and they go in turns. I thought that was very clever when I heard about it. So how are you supporting yourself? How are you preparing yourself? Because in those moments when you feel so alone, you feel exhausted, you feel like, how do people go through having a baby? That's when you start questioning, like, why did I do this? Or where's my identity? I was so different before this. You need the support system of other people. And for some women, I think for a lot of women, it's really hard to rely on other people. It's really hard for them to ask for help, which I definitely understand. I probably am or was one of those people. But this time around, I have definitely asked for help more. I've realized that getting laundry done is not the priority. Feeding myself is the priority. Giving myself a shower is a priority. Playing with my toddler is a priority. Leaving the toys on the floor, it's fine. Like, it's fine. And so just think about those little things. I know sometimes it's really hard. Your house looks messy, you want the sweatshirt that's been in the wash, but the most important thing is that you have clean bed, food, the baby's taken care of, and you're taken care of. The next thing I want to talk about is postpartum is not, 6 to 8 weeks, whatever it says in all these documents. You go to the doctor, you get cleared at 6 weeks for activity, whatever that means, but it's not that linear. Postpartum, you don't feel like your normal self probably until like a year later. And that might sound really harsh, and some women feel like themselves earlier, or some of them feel like themselves later. And what I mean by that is you get into a routine. The baby's not dependent on you as much as it is in the first month. And that's a long time. Some people have never gone that long to be not feeling like themselves, and it can be very difficult. That's why, micro moments every single day are very important. So what I mean by that is it a meditation for you? Is it reading for you? Is it going on a walk, working out, literally getting into a car, driving to the grocery store just to like do something that is for you? Or, if you have a toddler, like take the toddler somewhere, just you and them, or go by yourself. Like for me, honestly, it's just getting in a car and like if I'm ordering stuff online, doing some returns, grabbing a coffee and coming back. And sometimes that takes half hour and sometimes it takes an hour, but even just that half hour like resets my day. It makes me feel a lot better, and I feel like I'm doing something for myself that day. So, and then maybe kind of when the baby's older, it is a workout for you, and your workout doesn't have to be 60 minutes long. It's maybe now it's 15 and 30, and that's what you have to do these days. And again, it can be very effective just by having a little time. Shout out to the Sculpt Society, probably my favorite streaming workout service, because they have very like short workouts, and you do 15 minutes and you feel like you've done something for the day, and you actually feel physically strong and better. I think the last thing is, if you haven't already, it's very important to talk to your partner before the baby comes on expectations. And what I mean by that, it's like, yeah, there's going to be a baby, but like, what are you doing versus what is your partner doing? If you are a breastfeeding mom, you're doing a lot. You're feeding, you're probably changing the baby because they're right next to you. You're the one waking up at night for the most part, probably until you pump, and if you decide to pump, and then maybe the dad gives the bottle or something like that at night. But for the first month, it's you. Now, if you're not breastfeeding, who's doing the bottle when, right? Like if you're doing formula, or if you're pumping, and who's giving the bottle at that time. And if you are pumping, like when you're pumping, who's taking care of the baby. So these little details, like really you probably don't think about now, but it's very important to have these conversations, because when the time comes and it's 2 a.m. and it's supposed to be, one of you feeding the baby, and it's the opposite is happening, you're going to get resentful or frustrated, and you just don't want that. It's very important to have like expectations out on the table. The other thing I would say, like if you don't have like a house cleaner, I highly recommend you get one at this time before the baby comes. Just having someone come to your house every other week is tremendous help, and at least you know things are not going to be filthy and dirty, and this like one less thing for you to do. House cleaners these days are pretty, I would say, affordable. Get someone. You don't need a detailed clean every single time they come, but for them to like, you know, make your beds, do the bathrooms, all surfaces, you know, clean the floors, that's a really, really big help. So then you're not, again, relying on your partner to do that, and then you're resentful if they're not doing it because they're probably also tired. So just something to keep in mind. I guess really the last thing I'll say is it takes time. It takes time for you to get familiar with your new baby, even if it's your second or third. It takes time for you to understand what the baby needs, because every baby is really different. Like my son and my daughter now are like day and night because of the experience I'm having. First time around was really, really, really difficult for me. Like I, at a point very early postpartum, was like probably up until he was 1 year old, I never thought I would have another baby because it was that hard. Now, after having her, I'm like, I can see how people have 3 and 4. If this is the type of child you have, now I truly understand that. So, again, every baby's different. Not only that, every mom is different. Every family unit is different. So, it's okay if it takes time for you to get back into the swing of things. And again, it's going to be different. It's not going to be like before the baby. And it's so beautiful because it's so different. So I just hope a lot of moms know that even though it's different, it doesn't mean that it's bad. Yeah, honestly, that's it. I just want the space to be super supportive for moms, because sometimes this information that's really hard to tell them that, you know, it's going to be hard. Your nipples are going to be bleeding sometimes. Maybe, hopefully not. But this information is so hard to get out there because nobody wants to scare anybody. And I understand that. However, not having this information is also not serving anyone. So if your experience is amazing the first time around and you have no problem breastfeeding, your baby's latching, your baby's sleeping, you have absolutely you don't relate to any of the hardships that I'm talking about, that's incredible. Know that that's incredible. And if you're a mom that is the complete opposite and you're struggling with so much more than I've mentioned, that's also okay, because your baby chose you to be their mama for a reason. You can get through it. You have gotten through 100% of your bad days, and you will keep going. So just know that. So hopefully this helps you guys, and I will see you in my next video.